Welcome back to part 3 of our team rating series using the My Team tool on Fantasy Football Hub. Big Man Bakar, none other, you're the first FPL expert to take on the task. Bakar, are you excited?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing how well my team does on the My Team feature.
Me too. You're up against two guys who wouldn't consider themselves FPL experts. The two people on the table so far, we have Reeve and we have Kieran Carlin. I'm not going to let you know how they got on. I'm going to let you build your team. I'm going to let you tinker, and then we're going to pop it out, and you're going to go on the table and see how you fare. We're over now on the My Team feature on Hub, and I'm going to get you building your team. So we'll start at the back, go through the team as always. Who is your first goalkeeper?
So as of now, I have Raya in goal. I say as of now because there's slight rumors that he might be leaving Brentford, and they've signed a new goalkeeper. I was actually going through the Brentford forums. I still expect Raya to be first choice. I think he's too good not to play, but there are some murmurs of him leaving. So in case he doesn't, then he's going to stick around in my team. And I personally do think that in terms of what he offers, he's the best 4.5 million keeper to have, averaging 4 FPL points per start last season, which is much better than the alternatives in his price range. And with Brentford's fixtures till game week 8, I think he's the one to go for at the start of the season.
Raya's there and a nice 0.57 on any of those more premium guys like Mendy and Ramsdale, so that's 0.5 in the bank for further up the pitch. Your substitute goalkeeper, some 4 million dud?
Absolutely. It can be anyone. I've picked Gazaniga as of now because he's from Fulham, and I don't see myself picking 3 Fulham at any point, so he doesn't block me from buying a player in that position.
It's funny because we've done a few videos already, and if anyone hasn't seen them, you can go and check them out in the channel. There's a few videos out with Bakar, and this combination I've seen a few times from yourself. I've seen Ray, you do like him, so I hope he stays for your sake, otherwise you're tearing up everything. But on the defence, and this is where it gets a bit saucier, so who is in your team?
I've gone with a big at the back team. I've gone with 5 at the back, 5 premiums at the back. You can start off with Trent to begin with. I think he's the most nailed player in my side as of now. You look at the underlying statistics for defenders, chances created, big chances created, XGI, and Trent is stopping them. He was in fact a big underperformer statistically, especially in the second half of the season where he didn't do as well. But for me, that's not going to ignore the fact that he remains to be one of the most explosive picks in the game, which is why I think he's an automatic selection.
There's not many defenders can get you 20 points if they turn up, and maybe you'll have a haul like that someday this season. Who knows? And maybe I'll put that in my prediction video. Up we go to the next defender, big at the back, so I'm expecting a big guy here. 7 million, is he?
Yeah, it's Cancelo from City. I rate City to be the best defense in the league statistically, in terms of big chances conceded, in terms of XG conceded. They just keep so much of the ball, so much possession that they're always a good team to back for clean sheets. Cancelo himself was top for shots among defenders last season, 3rd for big chances created among City players last season. So it's this very rare combination that you get of, an explosive player playing in a Pep side who's, I won't call him nailed, but he's definitely first choice and he's one of Pep's favorites. So he's likely to play, most weeks. So I think he's a very good option to begin with as well.
Yeah, he's as nailed as they come on that side, really. Yeah. Trent and Cancelo, no real surprises there. Who's next?
Next is Reece James from Chelsea. And now he has over 40% ownership as well. And, it's no surprise to see why, because he was only behind Trent when it came to XGI per 90 for defenders. He hauled, big several times when he played last season. And whenever he took to the pitch, he was always looking threatening as part of a wing back system where he was getting plenty of license to go forward. And I do expect Chelsea to line up in a similar way now that they've signed Koulibaly and now they're linked with Kimpembe, Ake. I think there's a very good possibility of James being a very good pick early on to begin the season with.
Yeah, you've kind of got like the 3 guys there at the back that I think will be the focal point of everyone's sort of big at the back strategy. It's the 2 next ones that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I've picked his teammate Chilwell, who sort of seems to have gone under the radar in terms of his ownership. He's more or less 11% owned at the time of recording. He didn't play as much last season, which is why he's going a bit under the radar, because when you look at his numbers, he was averaging 9 points per start in the 6 times that he played. So it's very apparent that Chelsea looked like a different team when he's playing. When when Chilwell and James are playing, they look completely different. They look like title challengers. With Chilwell and James fit and firing, if Chilwell looks good in preseason, if he comes out of it unscathed, then I think that Chilwell is likely to be in my team as well.
And just an interesting observation from the tool here, over the first 4 game weeks, the predicted points, Chilwell comes out with 1 point more than James, so it'll be interesting to see if that's how it all transpires. I don't think either are a bad option, to be quite honest with you, but they are a real toss-up for me. They're plaguing me, and every video I do, I'm getting wound up about which one to pick, but why not go with both? Who's the last guy in this big 5?
It's Perisic from Spurs, and I really like what Spurs have done last season in terms of defensive solidity since Conte has come in. Spurs have been ranked 3rd for clean sheets, and no team has actually conceded fewer big chances than them since Conte has taken over. And when you look at their wing backs, they're always up there in terms of attacking pedigree. Even at times last season, Reguilon and Doherty were posting really good numbers in terms of their underlying statistics. And I do think that Perisic, he has the quality. He, under Conte in 2021, he had an XG of 0.44 in the Serie A, and I think that he can do really well in terms of the quality of the player. And especially what I like about him is the fact that that Spurs will not have to worry about the UCL to begin with, and that means less rotation and less risks of early subs, which is something that I'm very aware of with Conte after the Champions League kicks in.
5 subs this season is a big thing that needs spoke about. It's going to change the game a bit, isn't it? In the World Cup, it's going to be a very different season. When we move up to midfield, who have you got?
My first option is it's no prizes for guessing. Who do you think is my 13 million? Yeah, absolutely. Mo Salah locked in. My captain for the first week for sure. And in fact, for most of the first few weeks, I think I'll be going with Salah because of what he brings to the table in terms of the captaincy. I don't think we have that kind of reliable captaincy option in the game at this point in time who's that explosive. So Salah for me, for sure.
13 million, hefty price tag, but I've no doubt he'll live up to it. Who is your next option? My
next option is Luis Diaz from Liverpool, and I've picked Diaz because I really like Liverpool's opening fixtures. There's Fulham, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Everton, Wolves. They're playing in 6 of their first 7, so that's a very good run. And Diaz, he nailed a spot for himself since he joined in game week 24, and he did put in some impressive performances. And now news is coming in that Jota has actually sustained an injury in training. So this is actually very pertinent to Diaz, because that basically means that Diaz has no risk of being rotated at all. And at 8 million, a nailed Liverpool attacker, I playing as part of the front 3, I don't think you can go wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, if we even just break it right down simple and compare him to Mane of years gone by, that's been a 10 million plus player, and you're getting the guy who's coming in from who has taken like a fish to water, a duck to water. I don't even know what to say it is, but Diaz has been amazing. And I mean, at 8 million, that could prove really good value in a team like that. And if Jota's injured and he's nailed, if that is the case, Bakar, I'll be keeping an eye on all that. He'll have to be in my team. I don't think I could turn that down, but yeah, interesting. It's nice, and I've already seen a few changes from the first draft we did with you last week. So who is the third slot midfield?
The third one is Pedro Neto. Now this position is basically of a budget enabler, and I've only picked Neto because I wanted someone in the 5.5 million bracket. Wolves have a very favorable run of fixtures early on. They're playing Leeds, Fulham, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Southampton in their first 5 of the first 6. I'm not too bullish. I'm not too confident on Wolves, to be very honest, because I mean, they have been on the lower end of the XG scale over the past season or so, but at that price you can't really ask for much else. There were times last season when he came back from injury where Neto was playing as the furthest forward with Jimenez in a 3-5-2, and he did well. He's done well in the past as well. In 2020 he had a decent season where he had like 13 attacking returns. So it's not as if he's a completely a bonkers option to pick. There is some merit to selecting him, and if he looks good in preseason, then I'm going to stick with him. Other than that, I mean, there are other options as well. I mean, there's Wissa in that price range. There's McAllister. I don't think they're too far behind Neto, and this slot is basically dependent on whoever shows form in preseason.
Well, in the predicted points tool here, we have Redmond top, Gray in second, Neto, then Gross, Wissa, Willock, Fornals, McAllister, Poland, Suchek, Thiago. So they're the kind of people who come up at the top. And now obviously a lot of this is based off projected minutes, and some of the lower options might come higher if they end up nailed, and some of these guys here, if they prove rotation options, might drop down the projected points. But Neto is right up there. It's just an interesting little thing to throw in. So who's your fourth mid?
So basically my fourth and fifth mids are going to be enablers in this structure that I've picked. It's basically a 5-3-2 structure. So the two mids that I've selected are Andres Pereira and Jack Colback, simply because I expect them to play the most minutes out of the 4.5 million midfielders. I initially had Chupamecca in my draft, but apparently he's being sold. So I've gotten rid of him and I've selected
We picked him
Pereira
because he's
instead.
good, but he's too good. He could be off to Barcelona. Like, that's the problem, you know. Whenever your enabler's like so good, he just gets bought from someone else. So Colback and Andreas, be interesting to see how they go. Do you like Pereira as a player? Like, he was off of Flamengo and he's back now. He never really did it at United. Do you think he'll do well at Fulham?
He's going to play as a box-to-box midfielder. I mean, at that price, you can't really ask for much from an FPL point of view. I mean, as long as he just plays regularly, that's all I care about. Even if he was a defensive midfielder, I mean, there's not much you can complain about.
Yeah, give me 90 minutes a week. Give me 61 minutes a week and I'll be happy.
Exactly.
So we're up top, and I'm gonna guess on this, you've got someone who's pretty premium, someone who's not quite so premium, and then someone who's absolute dud.
Yeah, you're bang on.
Who's the most expensive? We'll start there.
Now this is between Haaland and Kane, and this is a big debate in my head, and it's going to continue till game week 1 deadline, if I'm being very honest. And obviously Kane has looked really good in preseason, and Spurs do have the numbers to back up, you know, their form, and Kane is right up there when it comes to stats and all that. But at this point in time, I have Haaland in my team. I expect City to hit the ground running, and I expect Haaland to get the significant majority of chances. He's proven himself enough at the big level for me to trust him to do well in the Premier League. I know that some people have question marks whether he'll be successful in the Premier League, especially in that team, which creates that amount of chances. I just can't see how he will fail. It's as simple as that. And I sort of prefer him to Kane at this point, because when I look at the fixtures, game week 2 is when I'd probably need a City player, and I'd probably need a City captain when they're playing Bournemouth at home. And in game week 3 as well, where they're playing Newcastle, because Salah has United in that fixture. So game week 2 and 3 are basically very good fixtures for City, while for Spurs, they're playing Chelsea away in game week 2, which isn't ideal. So now that is something which I'm trying to weigh up in my head as to whether or not to take that risk. But at this point in time, I have Haaland over Kane.
Well, what I'll say is, you know, we're going to do a bit more of a team reveal closer to the deadline, Bakar, in a couple of weeks. So everyone here watching, please do subscribe to the channel, and you will catch that nearer to the deadline and see where Bakar has landed. I imagine pre-season will play into that, and Haaland will have to avoid injury, which he isn't great at. But I'll keep my lips sealed on the rest of that. Who is the next forward?
The next forward is Gabi Jesus from Arsenal at 8 million. I love his price. I mean, I think this is a very good price to pay for an Arsenal attacker, especially given their opening fixtures, which are very generous. From an attacking point of view, look at their opening fixtures: Crystal Palace, Leicester, Bournemouth, Fulham, Villa, Everton, Brentford in 7 of their opening 8. Now that's an amazing run. And, he's already hit the ground running. He's doing well in preseason. He looks sharp. He's saying all the right things, that he's there as the number 9, wants to score goals, wants to assist. And I'm sure that he's going to be like that 90 minutes man for Arteta this season, where he trusts him. And the good thing that I like about, Jesus is that he allows for a very easy downgrade to the likes of, Wilson, Watkins, Mitrovic, or whichever of the strikers looks good in preseason, Tony for that matter. So he's an easy downgrade in case it backfires, which I don't think it will. But, in terms of contingency planning, there's a very easy get out of jail plan, basically.
No, I like Jesus. I really do like his price, and I love what you're sort of saying there about being able to pivot to a lot of other guys who could be great options, but are kind of relatively unproven, or we don't know how they'll fit in. A question I'll throw at you as a little bit of bonus content. If people are still here at this point in the video, I'm sure they're here for it. What's your kind of take on price points? Is it something you focus on heavily?
It's not something which I'm looking at this season in particular, because at this season, I am simply looking at maximizing points at the start, which I'm very confident that going 5 at the back is the way to go, because it basically gives you so many, premium options from the best, most reliable teams, and the players that, you're picking are very consistent and equally explosive, which is a rare combination. So at this point in time, usually if for example, if this was a conversation we were having at, in game week 1 last season or in the yesteryears, I wouldn't have recommended it, but this season is different because of the fact how the football has evolved and the role of wingbacks going forward, and secondly because of the fact that we've been given an extra wild card in game week 17 due to the World Cup. We have we have the ability to make unlimited transfers in that week. So not only do we have an early wild card to play, we have that option as well. So in case this structure backfires, you can easily wildcard out of it. There's enough in this for me to trust picking, the players. And the only thing that I'm focusing on right now is to maximize points potential at the start rather than, picking a specific player just to fit a certain structure, because it helps you not to sort of, use the wildcard early, and because it allows you to save that for later.
Yeah, it's much more of a 4-sprint season as opposed to one marathon, or maybe a couple if you take the wildcards into account. A lot of people breaking the season up into different segments based on wildcards and World Cups and whatever else. So it'll be really interesting to see how it goes. Just want to see your take on price points. Your last guy is going to be a $4.5 million dot up top. Here we go.
It's Greenwood.
We play this every single video.
Yeah, it's Greenwood simply because he's likely to play the most number of minutes from Leeds. I think he's the best option simply because, there are other 4.5 million forwards who I don't expect to, even give me a 1-pointer in case of, emergency when needed. So Greenwood is the only guy who I can somewhat remotely trust in that position.
No, I hear you. So we've got your team here now. We're going to generate your team and see what score you got. I'm just going to ask you one time.
Fingers crossed.
Opportunity. Is there? And this is your last chance. Is there any tinkering you want to do, or is this what we're going with?
Yeah, I think let's go.
Let's go. So bear in mind when I generate this team, I'm going to have to drag on a couple of guys. Maybe it might stick Haaland on the bench. I'll have to drag him back in. So don't panic if the team rating's very low to start. Starts at 84 and you've got Haaland and Trent on the bench. This could be high. So we're going to bring Haaland in for Greenwood. Oh, jeez, we're up to 92. Bakar, I think you've won. Switch this player. You've won so far, I think. Switch him with Colback. You might have picked my template team, because the only time I've ever seen get a 97 was when I went hitting template. But Luis Diaz isn't quite template, so I can't blame you that. 97% sticks Bakar, top of the charts by a distance. Second place Reeve with 92, Kieran Carlin with 89, and it's safe to say the FPL expert has shown he's an FPL expert. Are you happy with that? 97% team rating, 69 predicted points.
Yeah, I mean it's all good. I mean being on paper, but I hope that the boys can bring the points home when it actually matters on the field.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, look, what I'll say to people watching is if you've enjoyed this, you can head over. You don't even need to sign up. Click the link in the description. Head over to the My Team feature on Hub. You'll click up on the toolbox. You'll go over to My Team. You can put your team in and see what team rating you get. Pop it in the comments. Let us see how you got on. Can anyone beat Bakar? I don't know. 68.9 predicted points. See, can you beat it? Let us know. And Bakar, thanks a million for joining us. We'll see you in another video very soon.
Thank you very much, John. It's been a pleasure.
Guys, thanks so much. Subscribe to the channel before you bounce. Drop us a like if you're feeling generous. And don't forget, Hub have a massive 50% off. Not sure how long it's going to last, but if you use the link in the description, I'm an affiliate and I'll get paid. And you'll get 50% off. And you can check out My Team and everything else it has. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.